What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another car review. This is of course the 1970 Chevrolet Nova. Huge thanks to Kevin of the Real Steel Cars YouTube channel for providing me with his awesome Nova here to review for you guys today. So about the 1970 Nova, well, you know, it was the third generation of the Nova, and it's got more and more muscular as the years went on here. And the 70s here, I really like this squared off look. I mean, it's, you know, just the quintessential muscle car styling. You know, this was a little bit bigger than the Camaro and stuff. You know, it's supposed to be a little bit more comfortable and spacious, but still had, you know, all the various engine options. This one started with a smaller engine and now has been worked up to the 350 it has currently. I would also love the paint job here. You know, the orange, the black stripes is, you know, just such a very cool muscle car, you know, typical paint job. It looks great. And I just, you know, it's a simple design. You know, a lot of these cars back then, people, you know, these days say, oh, cars look so similar. But back then, I mean, most of the cars had just, you know, a single round headlamp or two and just very simplified styling. But I think it just gives it this timeless look that really looks great. And then coming down to the sides here, he's got these aftermarket wheels that look really good. And I kind of like, you know, the darker accents all around it too, to kind of set off the orange paint and match, you know, with the black stripes there. And going out back again, it's a nice clean design. You just have the little slender tail lamps there. And this one does have SS badges, but it's not a full-blown SS model. But I think it still looks really cool. And yeah, I think, you know, just little details. Like, I just love these side mirrors. I love the vent windows. Just all those classic muscle car things that you don't get these days. Just really gives this more attitude than even modern muscle cars. Right, for the interior of the 1970 Chevy Nova here, well, there's not a whole lot to talk about because, you know, a vehicle almost, you know, 50 years old, there's not a ton of stuff here on the inside. It's very simple. I mean, you know, even like on the doors here, you have, you know, manual windows. Now, obviously, you could get power windows on other vehicles, you know, 1970 here, but this one's got the roll-up windows, and I love the simplicity of everything in here. I mean, you know, you look forward, you have, this one has an aftermarket steering wheel here, but just a basic wheel. You know, it's a nice thin rim to it, and, you know, feels pretty good, although it's, you know, not going to be leather wrapped or anything fancy like that, but just a good basic steering wheel. And then looking forward, you know, he has an aftermarket odometer tachometer here, front and center, which is a very cool touch, and, you know, very period correct too, to have them right there on the steering column like that. But it does block the speedometer partially there, so you kind of got to crane your neck around a little bit to see, and seeing the 60 mile per hour mark is almost impossible. But you know, good, you know, basic gauges. Again, there were fancier vehicles back then that had a little bit more instrumentation and stuff, but you know, just all the basics, and that's all you really had to worry about. And then, you know, infotainment, I mean, that word didn't exist 50 years ago. So, you know, this one does have an aftermarket Pioneer stereo here, but, you know, otherwise you just had a basic radio down there back then, and then you have your, you know, air vent controls here, and that's about it. He did also add some aftermarket gauges down below here to kind of keep tabs on things, which is good. You know, it's just nice and simple. You do have a slightly padded dashboard. That was kind of a new idea, you know, in these eras of vehicle where you just have a little bit of a more safety-minded approach than you used to have. You know, you have seat belts and things like that, but they are just lap belts still. And this was, again, well before you had airbags or anything, so that's why if you're bashing your head, at least having a little bit of padding, I guess they thought was a nice touch. But yeah, so overall, you know, just a very simple interior, but it is, you know, as far as space goes, fairly roomy. I mean, you know, I don't have a ton of headroom here, but I do have a decent amount. And this aftermarket seat also is a little bit higher up. These seats are pretty cool, though, here that he does have in here. Otherwise, you know, you could either get a bench or buckets. This one actually did originally have buckets, but these seats, you know, obviously grab you a little bit better and probably more comfortable as well. And so that's cool to have, but you know, even backseat space is actually usable, and you know, he does, you know, put people back there, and it does fit. Me, even being, you know, 5'9", I can sit behind myself still in that back seat. I have enough headroom and everything as well. So even though, you know, this isn't, you know, a huge vehicle, you still have plenty of space here on the inside. Of course, now, you know, modern things that we're used to these days, you don't have any cup holders, anywhere to put things other than a glove box, you know, so all those types of things are missing, but nothing back then really had any of that kind of stuff, so that's just something you deal with. But overall, you know, just still a very cool interior. All right, but let's start off and go for a drive. So again, an old school car, you just have a basic key here, slip it into the ignition, and it roars to life. All right, so setting off here in the 1970 Chevy Nova. So much to take in, again, compared to modern vehicles. And I've driven a few old cars in the past. I drove a 67 Mustang, did a review of that. I also did a 57 Ford Ranchero not too long ago. And so this one is the newest of the old vehicles that I've done here, and you know, it's a very familiar but also a very different driving experience. So first things you notice, you have very light steering, but then you have a very heavy throttle pedal, so much so that like the amount of pressure you have to put down that I'm doing just to inch up would be enough to probably make my Mustang go full throttle. But you know, it's a lot of resistance on the gas pedal here. Other things here, you have brakes, which are power, but they're drums still. So you know, you don't have as much braking performance as you might expect in a modern car. Of course, you have to just plan out your stops a little bit more and not lean on them quite as much. But I mean, you know, in around town driving, it's totally fine and actually feels fairly normal to a modern vehicle. Other things, you have fantastic visibility here. You know, you just have tiny little A-pillars, of course. The glass, though, isn't super huge because you are sitting up, you know, fairly high. You know, you're used to these days cars having these massive windshields and stuff, and this is a little bit smaller, but still has better visibility than something like a new Camaro or something like that. Setting out onto a main road here, though, now, and I'm not even, you know, pushing it or anything, but, you know, it's very loud. So we have some aftermarket mufflers here on this that sound really good. And as far as all the mechanical stuff goes, the owner of this is actually riding along with me. So this is Kevin of the Real Steel Cars YouTube channel, and so I thought that he could kind of just give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of everything that he's done with this, because it isn't factory, and he does have a lot of nice unique touches to this vehicle. You know, so if you just want to run everyone through, I guess, just the basics, you know, that you kind of told me, and
sure,
just give them an idea.
I guess we'll start out with the suspension. Right now it's sitting on Hotchkiss springs, front and rear. It lowers the car about 2 inches in the front, 1.5 inches in the rear. It has Bilstein shocks on all four corners, subframe connectors. It has a rear sway bar by Beltec that I added. It did not have that before, which made a big difference. The front sway bar is also upgraded. That's a BMR sway bar. And polygraphite bushings in the control arms with new roll joints. So the front end and the rear end are pretty tied well together. It's a much better improvement than the original equipment.
Yeah. I've kind of noticed the steering, although it's light, you know, it's pretty accurate. Like the 67 Mustang that I reviewed, I mean, the bushings and the steering and stuff I think were a little worn out, but I mean, it was really wanting to drift, and I had to focus. And even the 57 Ford, I had to really focus on keeping it going down the road straight. And this, it does kind of just cruise down nicely without any kind of wandering, which is good.
Yeah, it's pretty responsive. It's pretty direct.
Yeah.
Once you get used to the loose steering.
Yeah.
But I think it's made some leaps and bounds improvements over the original.
Yeah. I'm sure the tires are a nice improvement too. We have 225 wide tires in the front and 255s in the rear, but they're, you know, they're not bias ply or anything like these older cars that I have done in the past. So I think having radials is a nice improvement too.
Yeah, upgrading to some wider rims and tires and some more modern rubber definitely was probably one of the best improvements you could ever do to a car like this.
Man. Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely a different driving experience, but I mean, honestly, it doesn't feel massively different from something like a new Challenger, really. You know, it feels still fairly modern as far as how buttoned down it is. So that just goes to show how good of a job you did of kind of resto modding the suspension to kind of, you know, give it that flat feel. I think the sway bars are massive on this thing, and that you know, really helps to keep this buttoned down. And it's also super lightweight. Like he said, it's what, 3,200 pounds or so for the current weight?
I put it on the scales and it came out to 3,240 pounds.
So I mean, that's super light, guys. I mean, you know, those are the types of numbers that car manufacturers that make sporty vehicles these days brag about, numbers like that. Like the new Supra is like 50 pounds or 100 pounds heavier than this, and this is a big, you know, beefy muscle car that everyone looks at these things and thinks they're boats, but they're only boats because of the suspension setup. They're actually fairly light, so if you have a good suspension under them, then I mean, they can be, you know, really good handlers. And so it does feel pretty light, and you know, I mean, we'll have some tighter corners here. We can kind of judge that a little bit more, but I think it, you know, so far it feels pretty buttoned down, surprisingly, actually.
I appreciate it. I did a lot of research on trying to make the best street car without overdoing it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people have overdone it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, these are some pretty tight corners here, and the brakes, yeah, they do a pretty decent job though for power drums, and it's really flat. It's just kind of surreal because you have this big muscle car, and I'm expecting to have a ton of weight, and I turn in and I'm like, oh wait, that was easy. Like that was way easier than I was expecting it to be. here. So he has this 2800 RPM stall converter in this transmission, and so this is a turbo 350 transmission, correct?
Correct.
So yeah, it's a 3-speed automatic, but it does have this unique setup, and you kind of were telling me it was like a drag racing setup, right, with the manual shifting?
Right, it's a TCI turbo 350. It has a manual valve body. So if you leave it and drive it, as you see, it cruises around just fine. But if you really want to draw any big power out of it and see what this thing will do, you actually have to ratchet through the gears manually. And it's a lot more fun once you start going through the gears yourself and getting out of the stall speed.
Yeah.
The stall converter is actually a necessity due to the lift of the cam.
Okay.
It wasn't just, hey, I want to throw a big stall converter in it, but once you get so much lift out of a cam, it do require you to have X amount installed in an automatic transmission.
Yeah. This is really fun to pitch into corners. I'm impressed. That sound is so good too. This engine, I mean. So, what was your reasoning? So it's 350 that's been bored out to 360. Did you do that just because you wanted a little more power, basically?
Yeah. Well, whenever you refresh an old motor, you're gonna have to hone it or bore it out a little bit just to get all the imperfections out.
Okay.
But while you're there, a lot of people go with the 355, which is a very common rebuild for a 350.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a little different, so we went a little farther with them. Went with the 60 over, so I got the 360. And I wanted to keep this motor intact and put it in here because it is period correct. It is the casting number for 1970 Chevy Nova, and I think that's one of the main reasons I wanted to keep it.
But that's really cool, I think, that it is all period correct. Because I feel like when you buy something like this, you kind of want a little bit of a time machine. You want something that feels old. You don't want something that feels brand new, or else you can go buy something brand new, So I like that you did this instead of an LS swap like everyone else does,
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I did contemplate the LS swap for a while. I really did. But at the end of the day, if you do an LS swap, then you're really making it, all about the LS motor.
Yeah.
It's no longer a 1970 Chevy Nova, it's a LS swap project.
Right. All right, so we're gonna try out this manual shifting here for my first acceleration. So we're gonna go down to first, and then I'll ratchet up to second and then the third, and see how this thing does. Here we go.
sacrificing low-end torque, and it's rarely going to see the drag strip. So as a street car, I wanted more torque than anything else.
That makes sense. Yeah, even just from drive, just taking off, it still gets up and goes really quick. Unless you're racing someone at the lights, you know, you don't even really need a ratchet. I mean, you can, it's fun, but it still drives really nicely. You're right, it's just so torquey. It's just, and it's so immediate, you know, these old cars, obviously, you have an actual throttle cable, right? So you just put your foot down and it goes immediately, and the front end kind of still lifts up a little bit, even though you got the firmer springs on it. You still get a little bit of that drama.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. universe as far as driver connection goes. You have nothing to save. You don't even have ABS in this car, so you can lock up the brakes if you're being an idiot, and you're on your own, you know? So.
Exactly.
Alright, so I gotta do another acceleration here because that was just too much fun. Here we go again. It's really quick to shift too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not much of a delay.
No. It's a fully built transmission, so it does its job well.
Yeah. There's modern automatics that wish they were this fast. Yeah, it's a combination of the sound, the speed, but just the rawness of it that just, again, having that connection just makes it so much more exciting, you know?
Yeah. You're not gonna get a sound like this out of a modern car.
Yeah, no way. And I love that you kept it, I mean, I know fuel injection makes a lot of sense, but I love that you kept it carbureted, you know, because it just, again, adds to the period correctness to me, you know? So, I mean, this is pretty well sorted out as it is, but you said there's a few things you want to do to this down the road, right? Just to refine it a little bit more.
Yeah, it really could use an overdrive transmission for the highway. I do a lot of commuting to and from work, or I'm on the highway a lot. Even getting here to meet you, I'm on the highway a lot. And with a 3-speed transmission, you're sitting at 3,000 RPMs at 65 miles an hour. So contemplating between an overdrive automatic, or if maybe I can muster up a T56 transmission swap.
That'd be cool.
Yep. And of course, with all that power and all that shifting, you got to be able to stop. So upgrading to some disc brakes is definitely in the game plan.
Yeah, these brakes, I mean, they do okay, but I'm sure if you're going down a back road for too long, you probably reach the limits a little bit.
Probably.
But they do a good job. I mean, for Trump brakes, again, everyone, these days that's like a dirty word, drum brakes. It's like, oh my gosh, like why would you ever have drum brakes? But I mean, people use drum brakes for 75 years or whatever until like disc brakes were the norm. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's horrible. They work. It's just not going. You still want to tailgate people because if you slam your brakes, you're not going to stop as fast. But other than that, I mean, if you're driving rationally, it's fine. So
Yeah, I've had no problems with them up to this point.
yeah.
But once they do wear out, it makes no sense to put drums back on.
Right. Yeah, that's about it. So, this is just, it's one of those things again. It's definitely worth at least experiencing this once in your life if you're someone who actually enjoys the act of driving. It's totally different in these cars. And even with this one having some of the updated suspension stuff, it still is just a totally different experience to a modern car. And Kevin here has had modern cars. He's had Mustangs and stuff like that, newer ones in the past. And he went backwards. He went back to the old stuff. And I think part of that, it's having this rawness that you don't get with modern stuff. And I totally love the appeal. I see the appeal, and that's why I want to have some classic cars of my own someday, because they are a ton of fun. But you do have a YouTube channel, so if people want to follow along with your build and your experience of owning this car, do you post stuff pretty often?
I try to post as much as I can, at least once a week, usually 2 times if I can get it. Of course, having a family keeps you very busy and tied down, but I say the minimum I post at least once a week. I have everything I've done to the car is logged onto the channel. It's Real Steel Cars. Everything from the motor swap to the suspension work, even the wheel and tire change, it's all on there.
Yeah, because I mean, it went from a 305 to 350, so I mean, even just doing that's kind of an incredible thing. You just swapped the motor in 24 hours, you said, right?
Yeah, my buddy Matt and I couldn't have done it without Matt. He's the Chevy guru when it comes to classics. So we put it in his garage on a Friday night and 24 hours straight into Saturday and did it all in one day.
That's wild. That's crazy. But yeah, so that's about it, guys. So yeah, definitely go check out his channel and subscribe if you want to follow along with his adventures here. And he also just does some car reviews and things like that as well. So definitely give him a follow if you're curious to see what he's up to. But yeah, so let me know your thoughts on this 70 Nova here in the comments below, and especially let me know if you guys want to see more old vehicles and classic muscle and stuff like this. I can totally do more of these if you guys enjoy it. So let me know about that in the comments below as well. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Huge thanks once again to Kevin for allowing me to review this. And anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.